pleased with the way our team played on Saturday. I think we improved our consistency. I think we improved our execution. By how much, it's hard to gauge, but I do feel better about where our team was than a week ago. We have a difficult game coming up on a short week, and our team is looking forward to it, as well as our coaching staff. And anxious to return to Cowboy Stadium, anxious to play against TCU and a good football program. And again, looking forward to the challenge. So with that, the questions that you have.
Talk a little bit about your memories of that game at Cowboy Stadium a couple years ago.
Well, I remember a couple of things. I've never been on a bus that could drive under a stadium before, and so that was unique. I remember the hug I got from my wife after the game. I remember a play by Jordan Pendleton on the goal line knocking a ball down. I remember a catch by McKay Jacobson. And hugging Brian Logan. That's about all I remember from the game.
What was your reaction when the opportunity presented itself to play TCU at Cowboy Stadium?
Well, it just seemed like it made a lot of sense. TCU is a program that I respect. It's a program that has won a lot of football games. It's a program that's a consistent, not only top 20 finisher, but recently top 10 finisher. And a program that was matched up we were matched up with in our conference. And eventually our program will have to, as it once did, 2 years in a row, be able to compete TCU or teams like that at a consistent level, so we can move the program forward.
And what about, I don't know how much film you've seen of TCU so far, but how do they compare to TCU teams in the last few years?
Well, I've been working all morning just on the defensive side, and they average 43 points a game, so that's a lot of points.
How do you balance the just another week mantra of trying to prepare for this game versus the fact that it is against a team that has beaten you fairly consistently the last 3 years and is probably the best opponent you're going to face the rest of the season?
Yeah, if it was any different than what I've been saying the past 6 years in terms of another week, then it would probably not have as much credibility, but our approach is so consistent that if I said anything different, I think our players would wonder what was wrong with me. I mean, our idea is each week is the next opportunity to get better, and I've never really focused on who the opponent is, nor anything else besides our program, improving our execution, improving how we play. So that's what I'll tell them today, and if they're expecting or hoping something different, then they'll be disappointed.
TCU is known for its team speed, been a problem the past few years. Very different from what you faced last week against Idaho State. How do you make that jump in preparing for that speed?
Try to liken it as much as we could to Texas. Try to liken it as much as we could to Ole Miss. Try to liken it as much as we could to Central Florida, teams that we thought were fast as well. And but those games are in the past. But just to say we have faced fast teams. This offense's approach is different, and it's difficult. And so we'll put that message across to our players that the challenge is a difficult challenge, and it is done with fast players and physical players, and so that's going to require a very high level of preparation. Anything else?
Bronco, Gary Patterson was pretty critical when BYU went independent, and did you expect to play them not only again but this soon? And can you describe your friendship, professional relationship with him over the last 6 years?
I have a friendship and a professional relationship, and whatever he said, I didn't read it, nor do I really care, because I know what my relationship is like with him, and that kind of overrides it. So whatever was said, it doesn't bother me. And I like the matchup, and I like the game. I think it's a good football game that should have a lot of intrigue. Two teams with similar records, and we're anxious to see if we can improve how we play against this opponent.
Coach, from what you've seen, how different is the TCU offense without Andy Dalton and a veteran quarterback?
It's the same offense with just that, not a veteran quarterback, and so they don't do quite as much with him in terms of in the pass game, I would say. But if you were to just, as we already have, put on this year's film versus previous year's film, it's the same offense.
What can you learn from a game like you played on Saturday against an opponent like Iowa State?
As I said throughout the weekend, when I was asked, I learned more about our team in practice, that they want to get better and they want to improve, and that showed from Monday's practice through Friday's walkthrough through even Saturday morning. They're not satisfied, and that's a good sign. And so I've had other teams that it's been more difficult to motivate them versus a 1AA opponent. Whenever we played them, that wasn't the case with this team, because again, the focus has been on ourselves, and it's going to need to be even at a higher level this week because it's a good opponent.
Coach, annually, your toughest games in conference turned out to be Utah and TCU kind of annually. It's important to be positive in the margin, as you know, turnovers, but in the last 3 losses to TCU, you're -7. Last 3 losses to Utah, you're -12. These are big numbers. What does it say about those particular games? The bigger the game, they're more sloppy than they are normally.
Not sure. Other than the emotion maybe, or the teams that we're playing are more skilled at taking the ball away. It could be both. It could be a combination of either. But what we do know is it doesn't lead to victory. And my guess is in the games that we have beaten Utah, or that we had beaten TCU, would be just the opposite.
Do you find that focusing on something like that doesn't have the desired effect because you can work on it every day anyway?
We do work on it every day anyway, and so that there's a historical perspective that says otherwise. I don't really intend to go back and now say because of this is what happened. I intend just to keep improving the team with the focus on today, then tomorrow, and the next day. And I'm more comfortable that way.
Bronco, after watching the film, did Jake Heaps do anything to suggest that he will get more playing time against TCU regardless of how the game goes?
I see the game and the rotation going as it has been going. I like the way the direction of our team offensively. And again, if the team were to struggle and if we weren't able to move the ball or score points, Jake would come in and perform. But I like a chance for the quarterbacks to get in rhythm and to play, and until proven otherwise, we'll go down the same road we've been traveling with Riley.
Since Riley came in against Utah State, you haven't had 3 downs and punt yet. Doing what you do over a 3 1/4 game span, how unusual is it that the consistency of moving the ball without, I mean, everyone has 3 outs. Your thoughts on that?
It's critical. Riley's ability to create and get us out of bad plays or covered receivers and scramble for first downs keeps momentum. It's hard to score without the football, so we keep the ball. The defense doesn't have to play as much. And against a team like TCU that scores so many points, and a team like TCU that we've not even averaged a touchdown per year for 3 years in a row, need to hold on to the ball and score points. So hopefully that trend continues of no 3 and outs, holding on to the ball and scoring points.
Just like you've had success with walk-ons, Gary's really excelled with finding maybe unheralded guys at one position, moving them to another. Is he just better at that than a lot of programs, or is he opened eyes as far as recruiting and how to find those guys and maybe imagine them 3-4 years down the road?
I think he's a skilled evaluator. I think for a long time, players wouldn't consider TCU until after they'd considered Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and then they'd look at whoever else. And so I think that because of that initial approach, and I'm not saying it's like that now, I think that he was looking for those second-tier in-state Texas type of kids that Texas wouldn't take or didn't take, Texas Tech or Texas A&M, and he'd have to verify that, but that would be my guess. Then he found athletes and then moved them to different positions and put them in a scheme that's very difficult to handle offensively and defensively, with very good coaching and a good program. And my guess is now he's been able to carve into some of the recruits that those other schools have wanted as well, just because of their record. Anything else? Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot.